Long Island serial killer suspect, Rex Heuermann, was charged with 7 murders as of December 2024. In 2010, human remains were found in Gilgo Beach on Long Island, in what appeared to be seemingly related murders. Over a decade later, a suspect, Rex Heuermann, was arrested. Heuermann, who has now become known as the suspected Long Island serial killer, has been acclimating to life in jail since he was charged with 7 counts of murder. When he was first arrested in July 2023, police charged him with the murders of Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, and Amber Costello. 6 months later, he was also charged in connection to Maureen Brainerd Barnes' death. In June 2024, Heuermann was charged with the murders of 2 more women, Sandra Costello and Jessica Taylor, which occurred in 1993 and 2003, respectively. 6 months later, he was also charged with the second-degree murder of Valerie Mack. All 7 women, who disappeared between 1993 and 2010, worked as escorts and were in their early 20s. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty to the charges. When the Manhattan architect and father of 2 were first arrested, Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney told People that authorities were gathering digital and physical evidence, including for separate burner phones he used to contact the women. However, it was the discovery of a Chevy Avalanche that was owned by Heuermann and spotted where one of his alleged victims was last seen that made the evidence against him compelling enough to put him in custody. Since then, DNA evidence has also led to further suspicion of Heuermann, who is now serving time at Riverhead Correctional Facility in Suffolk County as he awaits trial. A Netflix documentary, Gone Girls, The Long Island Serial Killer, was released on March 31st, featuring interviews with law enforcement and friends and family of the suspected killer. From the first human remains finding to Heuermann's legal proceedings, here's a complete timeline of the Gilgo Beach murders. December 11, 2010, a police officer discovers human remains during a training exercise with his canine partner. A Suffolk County Police Department officers was on a training exercise with his canine partner Blue when they discovered the remains of Bartholomew on the Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach. 2 days later, police found the remains of Waterman, Costello, and Brainerd Barnes in the same area. They were all strangled and wrapped in camouflaged burlap. Costello was last seen on September 2, 2010, after she left her home in West Babylon, NY. Only a few days earlier, she called her roommate, frightened after she had been dancing for a client who then threatened to rape her. Her roommate ran home. She later told People to help Costello, but when she got there, she found a bulky man in their living room. It was like fighting Frankenstein, she said. April 4th, 2011, 3 human remains are found throughout a stretch of Ocean Parkway. Throughout 2011, more human remains were found, including those of a female toddler, an unidentified Asian male, and a woman initially referred to as Jane Doe 6 on April 4th. A week later, 2 additional human remains were found in Nassau County, including those of the mother of the toddler. We can say beyond the shadow of a doubt, all these murders are connected. Serial killer profiler and expert John Kelly told People in 2016, but serial killers can change their methods. A sadistic killer would be about convenience. December 13, 2011, a 5th body is found on Gilgo Beach. A year after initially searching for the missing 24-year-old Shannon Gilbert. Authorities found her remains on Gilgo Beach. Gilbert, an escort, had called 911 on the night of her disappearance in the gated Oak Beach community. In May 2010, she placed the call after she ran away from a meeting with a client whom she connected with on Craigslist. January 16, 2020, police released a photograph of a leather belt they claim belonged to the murderer. Though the FBI and local police were involved in the case, no progress had been made in a decade. However, in January 2020, police released a photograph of a black leather belt found at one of the crime scenes that allegedly belonged to the killer. The belt had the initials WH or home imprinted on it. At a press conference, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart said, "The belt was handled by the suspect and didn't belong to any of the victims." January 2022, Suffolk County District Attorney assembles a new task force to investigate the murders. A new Suffolk County District Attorney directed the creation of a task force that involved interagency law enforcement officials, including FBI agents and state and local police. Rex Hoyerman is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison later said at a July 2023 press conference, commending the work of the task force. If not for the members of this task force, he would still be on the streets today. However, even with this arrest, we're not done. March 2022, authorities tie Rex Hoyerman to the case after he was identified with a vehicle a witness saw. Law enforcement initially started investigating Hoyerman as a suspect when a witness identified a first-generation Chevy Avalanche that was registered to him. The witness claimed she saw him drive away in the car in the vicinity of where Costello was the day before she disappeared. January 2023, a surveillance team matches DNA from a pizza box discarded by Rex Hoyerman to DNA found on a victim. A year into the renewed investigation, a surveillance team was able to match DNA from Hoyerman to DNA found on a victim. Authorities had over 300 subpoenas and search warrants and were able to collect abandoned DNA samples from a pizza crust Hoyerman had thrown out in a Manhattan trash can in addition to 11 bottles discarded in a trash can outside his house. DNA and hair from both the pizza crust and the bottles allegedly matched DNA and hair found on the victims' bodies. Though the hairs belonged to Hoyerman's ex-wife, Asa Ellerup, detectives believed she was not involved as she was out of the area when each woman disappeared. July 13, 2023, Rex Hoyerman is arrested, armed with a mountain of evidence. Authorities arrested Hoyerman in Manhattan. In addition to the DNA matches, authorities also had records of him using burner phones to contact his alleged victims and their families. He was using these burner phones and fictitious accounts to contact sex workers. District Attorney Tierney told people following the arrest, "We knew we had to take him down, and we thought it would be safer to do it away from his home. Since he has 92 gun permits, I'd say he was pretty surprised, so we did our job well." He continued, "I think he lived this double life, and he used the anonymity of phones and computers to shield himself from the rest of society. Unfortunately for him and fortunately for the rest of us, he wasn't successful." After discovering the burner phones, authorities also found disturbing online searches using fictitious emails and accounts, allegedly including searches about raping and torturing women, child porn, and rape porn. He was also allegedly obsessed with updates on the case, searching for information about the Gilgo investigation over 200 times in a 14-month period. According to authorities, included in his searches were: why did law enforcement not trace the calls made by the Long Island serial killer? And why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught? January 16, 2024. Rex Heuermann is charged with a fourth murder, after already being charged for the murder of 3 of the 4 bodies found in Gilgo Beach in 2010. Heuermann was also charged in connection with the murder of Brainerd Barnes due to DNA evidence. Brainerd Barnes was last seen checking out of a Super 8 motel on July 9, 2007, in New York City. She was later found bound with 3 leather belts, one of which was used to tie her ankles. Prosecutors alleged that Heuermann had lured her out to Long Island to murder her while his now estranged wife was out of town with their children, aligning with his previous patterns. June 6, 2024. Rex Heuermann is charged with 2 additional murders. After spending nearly a year in jail awaiting trial, Heuermann was charged in connection with 2 more murders, including Costilla in 1993 and Taylor in 2003. A grand jury indicted the former architect over 20 years after Taylor's remains were found by a witness who was walking their dog on July 26, 2003. According to an amended indictment, Taylor was found lying on her back with her legs bent underneath her with a tattoo on her torso, severely obliterated by a sharp object, and her arms decapitated. Meanwhile, Costilla's remains were discovered on November 20, 1993, by 2 people who found her lying on her back with her arms outstretched over her head with her uncovered legs spread apart while they were hunting in a wooded area, per the indictment. December 17, 2024. Rex Heuermann is charged with a 7th murder. Heuermann was charged with the 2nd-degree murder of Valerie Mack, who was a 24-year-old working as an escort. At the time of her disappearance, her body was first discovered in Monroeville, PA, in 2000, with further remains being found in 2011. She is the 7th of the 11 human remains found in the area that have been linked to Heuermann. He has not been charged with the deaths of the 4 others. March 27, 2025. Rex Heuermann and his estranged wife reach a divorce settlement. Heuermann and his estranged wife Ella Rupp, whom he was married to for 29 years, reached a divorce settlement, though she maintains that she believes her now ex-husband is not capable of committing the crimes he's been accused of. This has been in the works for the last couple of years. Ella Rupp's attorney Bob Macedonio told People she needs to move on with her life for her and her children. She realizes that. He added that Ella Rupp is withholding any judgment on the guilt or innocence of Rex until the conclusion of the trial.